পড়ছে, বিশাল বোমা পড়ছে। এই
মনে নেই সেন্ট্রাল ফোর্স দিয়ে ইলেকশন হয়েছিল 2013-তে, কতজন মারা গিয়েছিল? 39 জন সিপিএমের জমানায়। 2003 সালে ইলেকশন হয়েছিল সিপিএমের জমানায়, কত লোক খুন হয়েছিল? 70 জন খুন হয়েছিল।
আমরা এই যে রীতি বা এই যে সংস্কৃতি, এই যে সন্ত্রাসের বাতাবরণ, আমরা এটার চিরজীবনের জন্য ইতি টানতে এসেছি এবং মানুষকে বলছি যাতে আগামী দিন যদি অবাধ, গণতান্ত্রিক এবং শান্তিপূর্ণ নির্বাচন আমরা চাই, তাহলে প্রথম জিনিস হচ্ছে যোগ্য প্রার্থীদের আমাদের সুযোগ দিতে হবে। যে সিপিএম যেভাবে মর্যাগতভাবে সুপরিকল্পিতভাবে বাংলার রাজনীতিতে সন্ত্রাসকে ঢুকিয়ে দিয়ে গেছে, তার অবসান আমরা চাইছি।
এক প্রার্থীর আত্মীয় তুলে নিয়ে খুনও করে দেওয়া হয়েছে। এই যে ভয়ের পরিবেশ তৈরি হচ্ছে, অনেকে বলছেন দাদা আমরা বাড়ি থাকতে পারবো না, আমরা বলি বাইরে এসব বলে তারপর বাড়ি ফিরতে পারবো না। তো সেই জন্য অনেকেই ভাবছেন যে যদি আমি ভোট লড়ি তাহলে মুশকিল হয়ে যাবে, তারা না করছেন, যাদেরকে আমরা রাজি করিয়েছিলাম। আর সেই জন্য একটা এরকম ভয়ের পরিবেশ তৈরি হয়েছে যে সেন্ট্রাল ফোর্স আসে তাহলে এটা হয়তো তারা সাহস পেতে পারেন।
So the worst fears have come true. Even after repeated assurances, mindless violence had rocked at least 4 different places of Bengal in the course of nomination filing process for the ensuing Panchayat election 2023 in this very state, that is West Bengal. Now, 7 people have died so far. Do they belong to one political party? The answer is a no. Out of those 7 people, 4 are from ruling Trinamool Congress. 1 Congress worker died in Domkul. 1 Indian Secular Front, that is ISF worker, died at Bhangur, which is in South 24 Parganas. And another CPM worker reportedly died in Chopra during the course of nomination filing process. And the debate is back once again. Is political violence endemic in the state of West Bengal? This is not the first time that violence has rocked the state of West Bengal during Panchayat election. Back in 2018, which is the last Panchayat election, at least 13 people had lost their lives on the polling day itself. In 2013 Panchayat election in the state of West Bengal, 39 people had died. In 2008 Panchayat Polls, 36 people had died, and worst of all so far, 76 people had died back in 2003 in the Panchayat election alone. Once again, the debate is back, and so is the hashtag Bengal burning. Every time there had been an incident of violence, the social media had been abuzz with hashtag like Bengal burning, political violence in the state of West Bengal, and so on and so forth. We did visit Bhangur, the place which had been rocked by the violence, and violence lasted there for good 3 days. And as we went there, we saw telltale signs of violence. There was simmering tension in the air. Vehicles after vehicles were torched, vandalized, abandoned, lying by the roadside. And all said the same story, that 2023 Panchayat election in the state of West Bengal had a very rocky start. And I underline, very rocky start. But the larger question is, how fair is it to run a hashtag campaign like Bengal burning? And if this entire aspect, which is political violence, unique to the state of West Bengal? Well, a look outside the state of West Bengal might just throw up some interesting study. In 2021, in Uttar Pradesh Panchayat election, well, do not spark off hearing that name. It is not the populist comparison between the state of West Bengal and Uttar Pradesh, purely because in Bengal it's a Trinamool Congress rule and Uttar Pradesh is ruled by BJP government. It is not because of that. Now, in 2021 Uttar Pradesh Panchayat election, at least 6 people had died. Now, 6 people, including women, were killed in post-poll violence. Similar Panchayat election in Haryana had witnessed a lot of violence. Once again, the report is on the screen. If we turn our attention to Madhya Pradesh, in 2022, violence was reported during the first phase of Panchayat polls, and it was followed in other phases as well. In 2022, in Orissa, over 40 people were injured, including TV journalists. They were beaten up during the Panchayat poll process. In 2021, Gujarat civic polls, violence was reported, and also there were calls of boycott that came from several districts of Gujarat. Let's turn our attention on Tripura. Panchayat election, yes, there was violence. Civic body election, yes, there was violence. And there was also post-poll violence in the year 2023 after the elections were concluded and BJP came back to power for a second term.
Political violence in West Bengal is to be condemned, but at the same time it needs to be understood. And I have seen Panchayat elections from 1978, when the first Panchayat elections under the new law were held. What does this violence in fact do? This violence does not deter voters from participating in the election. It does not deter people from offering themselves up as candidates. In fact, there is a violence which is limited to potential candidates fighting amongst themselves to be the official candidate of a political party. So there is a violence which is bloody, it's murderous, and it's deplorable. However, the violence does not impact the participation of people in a democratic process. What therefore does this violence do? This violence, I think, establishes who is the dominant political force in a particular local area. And Panchayat elections are entirely local. Therefore, the tensions, the conflict, the triggers are that much more sensitive to local situations than they are for assembly or parliamentary elections. And if one were to argue that Panchayat elections are uniquely murderous in West Bengal, that would be a fallacy. Panchayat elections across the country tend to create a condition of hypersensitive local interests.
Thus, once again the question that begs an answer. Bengal burning. How is this hashtag reasonable, sensible, and most importantly, acceptable? Interestingly, in the post-poll violence scenario, there had been several incidents of violence that got reported in the state. But many also wondered if those number of cases had a number, does it tantamount to the generalization that whole Bengal is burning? When there had been incidents of violence in Tripura, there was no hashtag Tripura burning. When there had been incidents of political violence in Uttar Pradesh, there was no hashtag Uttar Pradesh burning. Then why? This hashtag is so relevant in the context of violence or political violence, especially when it happens in the state of Bengal. It's a larger question that begs an answer. Nobody is condoning violence. We are not condoning violence. Even if there is a single incident of violence anywhere, it has to be condemned, should be condemned, and we do condemn. If 7 people have lost their lives in the state of West Bengal during this entire Panchayat election process 2023 so far, that has to be condemned, and there has to be condemned unequivocally. But is Bengal burning hashtag a reasonable one? Because if an incident happens, say at Bhangor, it is restricted in Bhangor. Nothing happened in neighboring Kolkata. Nothing happened in neighboring North 24 Parganas district holistically. Then how reasonable it is to say that whole of Bengal is burning? What's happening in Manipur? And do you think such a hashtag is applicable, acceptable in the context of Manipur? If something happens in Bengal and whole of Bengal has to be brought under the umbrella to make Bengal burning hashtag an acceptable and a reasonable one, then by that same logic, if something happens in Manipur and as the situation unfolds in Manipur, should somebody say India is burning? Minded, Manipur is an inseparable part of India. Manipur is integral to India's demography, India's geography, and India's integrity. So a hashtag that many find insulting to the state of West Bengal can be also insulting if being used in the context of Manipur, could also be insulting if used in the context of Uttar Pradesh. The question is, why would you use this hashtag to generalize as what's happening in Bengal? We once again repeat ourselves, we reiterate, There should not be any violence happening in any part of India. Violence should be condemned, and we unequivocally, vociferously, and very strongly condemn even if there is a single incident of violence in the state of West Bengal. As much as violence is condemned, such hashtag and competitive politics should also be condemned. Democracy demands change, understandable, but a hashtag can never do that. Accept it and move on.